So, 10 a.m. German time. Hello from Nuremberg. We are Paessler. We are the creators of PRTG, and welcome to our webinar. Keep switches and routers, firewalls in check with Paessler PRTG. Whether you're new to PRTG or you're already a seasoned pro, I think we have a lot to tell you today. And as I already said a couple of minutes ago, I think it will be a great session and you surely get a lot of it. I guarantee you. So then, what do we have in place for you today? First of all, if you've been with us in any of our webinars before, then you know the drill. If not, then I just summarize. You can ask questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A option in Zoom. So just keep them coming. Our colleagues in the background will try everything in their power to answer them in real time. And as you can see on the fourth agenda point here, we will have a live Q&A session at the end for those questions we did not answer in the chat. So rest assured, we will get to your question as well. In the rare cases where we run out of time, we will follow up via email. So just keep them coming. The participants are in mute mode throughout the webinar. So I think this is in all of our best interest, like for those of you who have a dog, like there have been strange situations in the past, but I mean, this goes without saying. And if like you want to re-watch this webinar session, if you need another detail, etc., or in the future you did not make it to one of our live webinars, we will follow up via email with a recording of this webinar. So this is best practice at Paessler, and we will also do this in this webinar. Yes. Your speakers today, if you're wondering who's the guy who's talking to you, hi, I'm Dominic. I'm wearing the same shirt as in the picture. Some mean-spirited people say I only have one, but yeah, so that's just mean-spirited. I'm a product marketing manager at Paessler for 10 years now. Oh my God, I'm getting old. So yeah, what can I say? But I'm not the star of the show today. The stars are Mustafa and Marco, and those are the experts who will guide you through the slides today. And some experts they are, so you can really look forward to their expertise. And without further ado, I will lead over to them.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Dominic, for the introductions. That's a really nice tone to the webinar. So my name is Mustafa. I am a pre-sales consultant at Paessler, working within the EMEA region. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Marco Shapers, who is one of our senior trainers and consultants working within the customer enablement team. And today we will show you how you can keep your networking equipment, so switches, routers, firewalls, access points, in check with PRTG. Our agenda today, we start with talking about some common situations we've seen with our customers, some use cases we've witnessed, and which are basically the motivation behind this webinar. We'll talk about SNMP configuration, and we'll get into the details. We'll show you how you can create custom SNMP monitoring in PRTG and create your own sensors. We'll also talk about the different methods of bandwidth monitoring in PRTG and how they differ and what you can get out of each one of them. And we'll also see an example of REST API monitoring, how you can create custom REST API sensors to also monitor your devices via API. We will try to leave as much time as possible for a Q&A at the end, but as Dominic has said, I would encourage you to ask your questions as we go along. We have two of our very senior engineers in the background answering questions, so please feel free to ask your questions as we go. So Starting with the common situations, we see a lot of situations where PRTG is used as a monitoring startup. So one of them we call the uptime only dashboard. This is where an IT admin points PRTG at a handful of critical devices, let's say hosts, configures only the ping sensors. So we're looking at either green or red statuses, and that's it. So no one's ever touched the CPU metrics, the memory, the disk sensors, all the other details that can be pulled in PRTG, nor configured notifications, perhaps beyond the default email. So PRTG confirms everything's up, but capacity trending, early warning signs, all of that is going unnoticed. Another situation we see is the switch bandwidth light check, and this is when, let's say, an IT team also uses PRTG's auto discovery, and the auto discovery just adds the default SNMP traffic sensors, SNMP uptime sensors, so just the general sensor or the basic sensors, how we call them. But at the same time, no one has tweaked the threshold or added custom MIB files to monitor, for example, multicast and broadcast storms. So they see low utilization on the interfaces and assume everything's fine, but they never drill into, for example, the per VLAN traffic or set up the net flow to catch east-west saturation. So PRTG is collecting packet per second figures, the totals, but the real microburst and the real deep details are slipping by unnoticed. Within that, we've even seen customers who are using perhaps only the app for notifications. We've even seen customers who kept using the apps but lost track of where PRTG even is. And on that, we actually, in the follow-up email, we do have a survey about the apps. We'd like to understand more how you use them and how you would like to see them for our development. So we invite you, of course, to please to answer that survey in the follow-up. Another situation we see is the one-time setup. So the IT admin or the team spins up PRTG for a manager's request. Let's say the CTO wants to see the core switches on a map. So they run the auto discovery once, create a network topology map, and the map is running. Everything is okay, and then they don't work really on PRTG further. Months later, the map still works, but nobody has checked thresholds, has created custom reports, custom sensors. So PRTG is humming along, showing you the general status, but oblivious to any deep dive insights. When that happens, PRTG is deployed and gathering data, so that's happening. It's using only the basic sensors, so just the ping, maybe the uptime, CPU, traffic metrics, all of that. And within that scenario, PRTG is very useful, but there is just so much more possibilities within PRTG that you can use. And we'd like to show you some of those today. Uh, so today we focus on the networking devices, so switches, routers, firewalls, access points as well. We will, in the practical examples and the demos, we will focus on switches and firewalls. This is because all the devices use similar protocols in the background, so the same methods would apply to the other devices. Things like, of course, SNMP, SSH, flow are available, let's say, on most networking devices. And on that, we'd like to do a quick poll to ask you which vendors are present in your networking infrastructure. So I'll start, or the poll has already started. We'd like to understand more the type of devices you're using to customize our webinars moving forward accordingly. Of course, that also factors into our development. So I would invite you to answer the survey. We'll leave it up. We'll leave it up for a minute to give everyone the chance to answer. Okay, you see Cisco and Fortinet are actually in the forefront, which matches our projections. We do have our examples today are going to be on Cisco and Fortinet, so that's very good. Thank you very, very much. Move on. Okay, so our goal today is to help you extend your monitoring beyond the basics. We want to show you how you can see everything you want and need using PRTG. So our goal is to inspire you to leverage PRTG, the different sensor types within PRTG, to monitor your networking devices more comprehensively beyond the basic sensor and the basic parameters. Just some possibilities that are available for networking devices. Of course, SNMP, that's the main protocol used by networking devices, whether by polling, where PRTG sends an SNMP GET request and the device responds with the information, or using SNMP trap, where you set up your device to actually send the SNMP traps to PRTG. PRTG, in that case, is passively collecting the traps, and then you can, of course, be notified based on the content of the SNMP traps themselves. SSH and REST API are also capabilities within PRTG, whether through predefined sensors or custom sensors that allow you to create your own SSH script or API call that PRTG will go and run with every scanning interval and bring the information back into PRTG, where you can use them in dashboards. You can use them to be notified based on specific statuses and specific information. HTTP monitoring is also another capability, and PRTG has a lot of HTTP sensors that you can use to monitor your network devices, as well as, of course, your applications, your websites, and anything that uses HTTP. Monitoring SSL certificates. So of course, we've seen a lot of cases in the recent past where expired certificates have caused a lot of downtime to a lot of companies. So this is something you can easily monitor with PRTG. Another sensor type is port sensors. And here we have the port sensor as well as the port range sensor that can monitor your device to see which ports are open, which ports are not. So also quite useful when it comes to networking devices. Flow technology is something we'll talk about extensively today as it provides, let's say, more details about your bandwidth beyond what the basic SNMP sensors will provide. And last but definitely not least is syslogs. And syslogs, similar to SNMP traps, you set up your device to send them to PRTG. PRTG has a SNMP trap receiver sensor and a syslog receiver sensor that are able to inject the traps and syslogs. And also, you see them in the interface. You're able to filter through them. You're able also to be notified about specific traps and syslogs, whether by severity or by the message contained within the logs. Aside from the sensors within PRTG itself, we have an even more advanced solution for SNMP traps and syslogs, which is the PRTG Data Hub. And the PRTG Data Hub is a separate tool that can inject all the SNMP traps and syslogs from all your different devices and applications and filter them based on the rules you create and then forward them to the destinations you'd like. The destinations, of course, can be PRTG itself. They can be your storage if you need to store syslogs or traps, or it can be your SIEM solution or any other tool that utilizes the logs and the traps. All right. So talking about SNMP itself, Simple Network Management Protocol, every SNMP managed device has an SNMP agent installed on it, and the agent is a software module that basically translates the device information into the SNMP format to make the information available to other tools and other devices, like, of course, PRTG. The first SNMP version, SNMP v1, is the lightest. It doesn't carry any encryption. So, of course, the recommendation is to use it only within your LAN. It has, however, a bit of a downside, which is its 32-bit counters, the 32-bit counter architecture, which is nowadays not enough for the GPPS size networks. That resulted in the introduction of SNMP v2, which is now considered the de facto network management protocol. SNMP v2 supports 64 bit counters, but still sends critical data as clear text. So it does not really enhance security, and this is where SNMP v3 comes in. It includes the advantages of SNMP v2 and adds also security solutions, so user accounts authentication, even optional encryption. However, this of course leads to needing a lot more CPU resources, and also it becomes a little bit more complex to implement. However, it is definitely the recommendation if you have your devices exposed to the internet. Within the SNMP, the two most important terms are MIBs and OIDs. MIB stands for Management Information Base. It is a collection of definitions of the parameters, basically of the managed object within the device. And each parameter has an OID or object identifier, and the object identifier basically points at the specific parameter, and this is the OID that you would need to use to monitor this parameter. The MIB itself is organized hierarchically. It can be depicted as a tree with different levels from the root to the single leaves or the single OIDs. Each OID would have an address that follows the levels of the OID tree. You see that here. This is an example OID tree. If I want to look at, let's say, a parameter within the interface's MIB file. Now, for each device or for all devices, there are standard MIBs that are defined by the ISO. These are available for all devices that support SNMP. And there are certain parts of the tree that are vendor specific. So for each manufacturer, for each device, there will be specific parameters related to this device and related to the features that you can use on this device. So if I want to look at an OID in the interface MIB, the address for it is going to be following the tree and the hierarchy. So it starts at 1, then we go to 4, then 6, then 1, then 2.1.2, and then you're going to see the rest of the tree under interfaces pointing to the specific OID. The OID themselves can have two types. It can be scalar or tabular. The scalar provides a single value. The tabular ones expand into a table that provides even more information. So you could have a table, for example, for the interfaces that expands based on the interfaces that are active on your switch. So for each device, and depending on the device and depending on the features you are using on the device, this is going to determine the possibilities and the things that you can monitor using SNMP. So for us, we actually see a lot of examples or a lot of uses for MIBs and OIDs. It will depend, as we said, on the features. It will also depend on your business case, on what you're trying to, on the questions you're trying to answer with PRTG. So we can't tell you all the questions, but what we'd like to do today is to show you how you can answer the questions you have. Later on, we're happy, of course, to talk about specific cases on an individual level. If you have a use case that you would like to clarify or see how you can achieve, our pre-sales team is happy to help you there and to get into the case with you and see really how we can answer the questions that you want PRTG to answer. So how to configure SNMP? Basically, within the SNMP configuration depends on the version you're going to use. If we're talking about SNMP v2, for example, then you would need to set the community string and the port. What you need to make sure of is that the information on the device side matches the information on the PRTG side. So you will need to go to your device, whether via the CLI or via the user interface. Looking at an example here from the Cisco Switch UI, you see underneath the tree SNMP. This is where you can add the SNMP configuration and set the community string and the port. And once you set up the PRTG on the other side with the same community string and port, they're able to communicate and you can start adding SNMP sensors to your device. Another example, matching actually our poor results within FortiGate. You see also within the UI, the SNMP section. Here we have a section for V1 and V2 where you can create new and add the community strings and the settings, and also another section for SNMP V3. Now, aside from custom SNMP, PRTG can do a lot more. So we talked about SNMP pooling and SNMP traps. We talked also about flow. But there are, for example, Cisco-specific features like IPSLA and class-based quality of service. There are predefined sensors in PRTG4. So we definitely do invite you to look through the sensors in PRTG and see if there are sensors specific to your equipment manufacturer. If not, then the next choice would be the custom sensors. And last but definitely not least is REST API monitoring. And here, any tool using an API or any device that has a REST API, you can create custom sensors in PRTG to monitor any of the endpoints available in that API. And at the end of the day, you don't need to redo the setup for every device that you have in your network. You actually need to do the setup once and package all of that into a device template that carries your sensor configuration, your thresholds, your notifications, everything. And then you can apply your own device template to other devices that you add to your network later. And now let's have a look at the custom SNMP monitoring. Marco will show us an example of how you can use SNMP, the SNMP MIBs of your device to create sensors in PRTG. On to you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Mustafa. And from my side as well, a very nice and good morning to you all. I'm quickly sharing my screen and I'm going to take you through the ideas we have at the moment. So I'm connected to my PRTG server in my environment right now, just to quickly demonstrate to you how you can use the Paessler MIB importer as a tool to get your MIBs directly set up into PRTG quick and easy. First off, I've already done the dirty work. I've already gotten my MIB files I wanted to have. For example, as we already told you, we're working with Fortinet and Cisco systems at the moment. So we've got one of our system sets up. So we've got the two Fortinet MIBs that are available. Those FortiGate MIBs, for example, are directly available on the device. You just have to go into the SNMP configuration, and there you will find the button to download those passing FortiGate MIBs directly from your device, matching whatever you have. That's the easy way. If you have a more common system, a more dedicated system, there's another way vendors like to do it. This is, for example, as we get it to the C1300 here, which is our catalyst switch we're working with at this very moment, where we have to contact our vendor for the information because it's not directly available on the device. But with a quick little email, you can get the information and then you get these MIB files from them. And there is the other way vendors like to do it. As you have seen, the Fortinet way is give us two simple MIB files where all the information is located in. So those MIB files will be pretty large and consist a lot of information in there. While the other side is what Cisco, for example, is doing, give you more MIB files itself, but tell you exactly what's within those MIB files. If you need information from CDP, you will find this in the CDP MIB file. If you want information like we will be using from the environmental systems, you find environmental systems MIB files, and so on and so forth, going through IPv6 to DHCP to OPC, whatever you need, there is a MIB file for it directly from the vendor available. And once you have those MIB files, it's the easy way you can do it by simply launching the Paessler MIB importer, which is a free tool you can get directly from our homepage, paessler.com, and can download it right into your installation to just use it quickly. And using it is pretty simple. Once you've opened it, you simply go for the file and tell the system to import a new MIB file. Then you navigate to wherever you set up this MIB file to be. I'm already set there. And then I need just to pick up which MIB file I want. And I want to go with the environmental MIB file because there's the most information for me. I can quickly import it. I get my log file, can see how this worked out. And once I got this in, it tells me exactly what is inside of this data part I have in it. And the part I'm looking at right now is the environmental data, so I can see power supply status information as well as fan status information. And clicking into this one, drilling into this one, we can see information that is being located. For example, Mustafa explained what an OID is. We already have access towards having this OID set up in the system, with a direct description inside of it and a description from the vendor itself. What does this do? And what information is it telling me? This is the perfect way we can use this MIB importer, because even before we added it to any sensor, even before we see what the device itself has to offer, we can already see what is part of this MIB file, which information are we getting, and we can deduct from this system on, do we want this or don't we need this one? If available, it will also give you a lookup inside of it. So it will directly tell you what is available as a result from this system, because in a normal environment, SNMP is a language that is not human readable, but it's machine readable. Via those lookups, it's possible for PRTG directly to add this to its installation. So it is human readable once again, without having to look at the raw data that comes in. And through clicking through all of this, we can see what information is in there. For example, things like temperature inside of the unit itself, power supply status information, like is it working, is it not working, how many power supplies do I have added to the system itself. I can import this one as a full-on MIP file for me, which is quite easy, but I can also go through a partial selection, as we call it at this very point, and simply choose what type of information or which parts of information I want to add to my PRTG installation. Once I'm good with this one, I simply go and save it as an OID lib, because those libraries are what we use. Give it a fitting name so I can find it in here. I've already prepared with that one to be called Cisco hardware. And then I can just quickly jump into my installation back. This is the normal web page I have in here. And now I can use what I just added to the system, add it as a sensor, and this time to my Cisco device. I can simply look up for the library, which is this sensor, which uses those OID lib files I've just added, put into the system. And then it will ask me, what do you need out of all of this? I put it into Cisco hardware at this very point because I want to know what hardware status we're getting, but I'm just adding this one. And now the system, PRTG itself, is asking me that is found more than just one match for this MIP file I have in there. So it's asking me, what do you want to see? And I know that the one I really wanted was the temperature of the device and maybe the supply states for the power supplies I have. And then I can quickly create them. And by this, I've just added 3 sensors that have never been monitored in any way, shape, or form inside of my PRTG instance to my device itself. Now I can jump through this and give it a new name, put it into the right naming convention, make it a little bit clearer for everybody to see what is in there, how this works, and what data this is. And I'm now jumping over to my finished installation and quickly showing you how this then can turn out in a total way. For example, here, this is the finished product I have, not just the font, where I can see exactly what the fans are doing from the Cisco device. I have my whole live graphs. I've got the whole historical information that's dependent on the system to see how did that develop? Was it clear? Was it a good one? Did I have any problems? And as I told you, if this MIP file adds the lookup, it gives you automatic information, what status is green, what status is yellow, which status is red, where do I need to turn to, where are there problems I could potentially encounter. And it's written in clear text. Once you hover over it, you can see which status can occur during scanning, which status could be a problem for your whole installation. And this works out through every single thing we added. For example, same goes for the power supplies, where we get the same information and can see, okay, power supplies is normal, no problems at all, no fluctuations. I don't have to do anything. And now I'm monitoring, besides the normal traffic on the switch, I'm also looking at whatever information the hardware relates to me. So I've just added a lot of value to my monitoring in terms of layer 2 monitoring at this very ground. And if the unit comes with more than just one fan, more than just one power supply, you can monitor each power supply individually. That always depends on what the device itself offers to you, because if you don't have a second one, you cannot see the second one, but you can get the data you have in terms of it. Same goes for devices like, for example, the Fortinet. Here as well, we can get the information out of the system to get system statistics, hardware statistics, but also we already have pre-built sensors that can be used in these environments. For example, for FortiGate, there is a VPN overview sensor that's already set up, so you can have a quick overview over every single FortiGate VPN for the connection you have within your system. So if you're heavily in using any VPNs with your FortiGate firewall, you don't need to take your MIP file. We already have that pre-configured for you. Also, some things that are not known, but are always nice to know. Other things like, for example, details, statistics, whatever you want, those are once again available through the MIP files and can be taken out of the context. So you can use them within your same MIP files and just simply see what can this be delivering to me? How much more information is there and is available to my own system? This always depends on what the vendor offers through his MIP files. It can be more information, it can be more complex information, but it can be very basic information. But all in all, it is always worth it to have a look at very important systems to see how much more can I gather up, how much more information is there available. If you only want one of those information pieces you have seen directly from here, if you're like, for example, just need the data temperature, you can also simply copy this OID directly out of this system and build it as your normal sensor via the SNMP custom option in PRTG directly. So you're not forced to use the MIP file if you only want one value. You can also use this just to get the information, what could be possible, and then build it your own way. PRTG is highly configurable in this sort of sense. And with that, back to you, Mustafa.
Thank you, Marco. Let me share my screen. A very nice example, and I would add to that is what I would add is, for example, with the FortiGate, we do have predefined sensor. For example, we've seen the IP tunnel sensor. It's giving you the overall statistics. If you would like to have an even deeper look, you don't have to, again, depend on the predefined sensors. You can find OIDs, for example, that monitor each IPsec tunnel or any further details that you want about that. So next we talk about the bandwidth monitoring methods in PRTG. And here PRTG offers four main methods. The first one is SNMP. We've seen it. We also, PRTG can also monitor bandwidth via WMI. So using the Windows Network Card Sensor, you're able to also get similar statistics, so overall statistics as well. And the last two methods are flow and packet sniffing. Each one of those methods offers different advantages over the others and carries different functionalities. So comparing the four methods, if you look at the setup for WMI and SNMP is medium to low, as we've seen with SNMP. If you're only using, of course, the predefined sensor, this is as easy as can be. With packet sniffing and flow, this can be a bit more complicated because you would need to configure the switch. However, not so complicated that beyond its use, basically. When it comes to filtering, traffic filtering is not available in WMI and SNMP. Perhaps in SNMP you can get simple filtering for broadcasts, unicasts, and multicasts within the sensor itself. But packet sniffing and flow, they offer the most, or the bigger number of filters, and we'll see that in the rest of the table. For example, differentiating bandwidth by protocol or by IP is available in packet sniffing and flow, but not available in WMI and SNMP. Top lists in our flow sensors, and we'll see that, of course, with Marco next. In our flow sensors, you have default top lists that shows you the top talkers, so which IP to IP conversations are taking the most out of your bandwidth. Same information on the connection level, so on the port level and also on the protocol level, or you can even customize your own top lists, perhaps to look at specific IP to IP information or to look at a specific protocol and see how it works across your switch. Something else, filtering bandwidth by MAC address. Now, this is available specifically with packet sniffing, but not available with all the other methods. Physical network port as well. This is available in SNMP and WMI, but not available when it comes to packet sniffing and flow. And other network parameters are also, as we said, like the errors, the unicasts, and multicasts. These you can see in the WMI and SNMP sensors, but you can't see in flow and packet sniffing. When it comes to the load on the PRTG server itself, now, unfortunately, not all sensors are the same. Some have different impact on higher or lower impact on the performance of PRTG itself. SNMP is at the absolute lowest, so this is the protocol we recommend to have the most performance or the best performance out of your PRTG core server. WMI comes in next, and in third place is going to be packet sniffing and flow. Zooming in on flow sensors, PRTG supports a few flow protocols, so NetFlow v5 and v9, IPFix, JFlow v5, and also SFlow. When it comes to the sensor itself, all the sensors work the same way and have pretty much the same interface. And we will see how the sensor looks now with Marco. On to you, Marco.
Again, thank you very much. And we're jumping back into my quick little overview, where I can quickly show you. Those are the pre-configured flow sensors we have in the environmental systems at the moment. We've got custom sensors and unfiltered sensors to be the first ones to share. So every single type of flow you're using has two different types of sensors. With the system itself, it is that the unfiltered have predefined channels with some of the protocols that are being used during these information values, which mean that you can immediately see some of the traffic that's going through your network and get an overview over your full-on systems information. In a total environment, we always recommend to go for the custom value. The custom offers you much more of a system settings point, because in the custom settings, you can use your own channel definitions and tell the system itself what kind of protocols should be expected and which kind of protocols can be seen in your environment. You can completely and freely configure your own environment to match the protocols you're mostly using and you are mostly seeing, from a standard HTTP to HTTPS context up to your preferred or personalized protocols with different ports and different overviews you have in your own environment. This gives you the opportunity to really drill down deep into your own environment and see what kind of traffic is generated, what kind of traffic goes through your system. The benefit of those sensors that are there, doesn't matter if they are NetFlow, SFlow, JFlow, as Mustafa said, they are all working the same, is that on top of the information you get from your normal systems, for example, if you have like the normal SNMP traffic sensors, which are mostly just telling you that's the total traffic, that's the traffic in and traffic out, those NetFlows can offer you more information on terms of what kind of traffic do you see? What is going through your own environment at this very protocol? And through the system itself, we're not just gathering this information, but we're putting this into a historical context we have. This means that we can drill down and take a look at, for example, what are the top talkers environment? I can see who is the most busy one in my environment, who is talking the most, who is his destination that he's talking the most, and how much traffic is this generating. So I can drill down into the right connection and see much more information than having a total and in and out overview. I can see the connections that are there. Is this just a single connection that is doing that much? Is there multiple connections that are doing this much? I can drill down into a protocol level, where I then can see what protocol is the most used at this environment. We're here with the HTTPS environment, followed by the flow and ICMP. Those are the most used protocols in these environments right now. And I can use this to also go down and drill down into this historically and say, let's see what was yesterday's environment there. How did this look? Is this something out of the usual or is this normal? I can use my own drill down menus and simply see what happens and where does it happen. And I can even go down and get my own overview like this one, where I'm just going for the sender's environment. And I'm just looking at who is sending what amount of information into this system on its normal regular basis. The background of this is no longer data that we are gathering directly from the system, but those flow sensors are now system-wide sensors that are being used from the switch, router, firewall, whatever device you can see. So on this device, you would have to configure to utilize this flow information and send it over to PRTG. And we are just receiving it, building it up, and giving you the overview about everything you can see directly on top of all of this. This would be your value that you can use to build up much more information right out of the gate. If your devices are not capable of doing flow, you still have other opportunities to get some more information. For example, if your device supports Armon as a protocol down below, which is a different kind of SNMP query that we're doing at this very point, which can lead to more and more information that can be gathered directly via the SNMP and not via the flow configuration. Once again, your switch, your router, your firewall, whatever you're querying has to have ARMON enabled on itself and support it. And then you can see more information than just what you have in there, not to depth of flow, but also to some certain degrees, interesting levels. For example, we've got collisions and CRC errors in here, which could lead to misconfigurations or could show on point to misconfigurations, or even problems like having a cable in a loop or something like this, which normally provokes CRC errors. So you can use those to define more and more information out of your own system at this very point. Something else we wanted to talk about here is another protocol that sets up on top of just SNMP and just flow, because in today's environments, we often encounter devices that have APIs that are being used. And a lot of vendors today probe towards the APIs and tell us that the most information they can offer us is available via the API environments. Also for this, we've got a pre-configured sensor. This pre-built sensor is our REST custom sensor that is able to query APIs that are based on these ones to gather up information right out of an application. So we're just telling the sensor then that it should not be doing any SNMP queries, but it's an HTTPS query, which is type of this REST protocol at this point. It should be pointing to the API and get some information, for example, here out of our FortiGate, out of the license environment, and get the information. In a normal environment, this has to be an authenticated request, which means you have to prepare an authentication bearer for us to do this before. But once you've done this, you can get some information, like, for example, here, your FortiCare status, your antivirus status, your overview status out of your FortiGate systems, and you can check these ones and get an overview over your full-on system in terms of support, in terms of antivirus, in terms of the outbreak prevention. Whatever you have licensed in your FortiGate, you can now monitor this directly from this part without having to move to the hardware itself, but by using the API that is already there, and that can be used to gather up all this data. And as the very last point from my side, if you've done all of this, if you've set up all of your sensors and you're done with one device, you maybe don't want to do it again on your next device or on your third, fourth, or fifth device. To make this easier for you, we have still the opportunity for you to use device templates. When you're done configuring your device, when you're done doing those sensors, you can simply set up a device template, call it Cisco Catalyst in this regard, for example, because it's a Catalyst switch, save it up, and this will add all the sensors you've just added, all the configuration you've just added, including, for example, your breakpoints, your limit, your thresholds that are configured to this device template. And once you set up a new device, you can now run an auto discovery on this device using this template you have just set up for itself. And this will be your option to use this template directly out of the system and make all of these systems look exactly the same. And with this one, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Marco. Let me also share my screen. So we had a few questions in the Q&A about resources and also one about vCenter specifically. So I wanted to point to actually our website. So on Paessler.com, everything you need to know about PRTG is pretty much available on our website. So under resources, first of all, you have Getting Started Guide. This takes you through the PRTG knowledge from the very beginning. How-to guides covers specific scenarios. If we look at videos and webinars, and specifically the webinar section, we do have live webinars. And on that, the next one is actually on the 14th of August is going to be about virtual servers. So we will address virtualization monitoring very specifically. We also had a comment I've seen, or a question about Cisco Meraki. You can see here in our recorded webinars, we have a webinar specifically addressing Cisco Meraki. So it is a very nice resource that you can utilize. Our KB is also available online, open access. So we had a question about SNMP sensors not working. We have a complete guide for troubleshooting any SNMP issues on our KB, along with a lot of articles. If you look at the tag SNMP in the KB, you can see everything, all the questions that customers have asked us and we've answered before. And with that, I give the mic back to Dominic.
Yeah, thanks, Mustafa. I mean, those of you who have been with us since the first minute know I love emoji reactions. So please let us know what's your honest opinion about this webinar. Like, don't be afraid to hit anything else but a heart. But obviously, I love the hearts most. And yes, it seems like I did not overpromise and you had a good time. Thank you so much. Mustafa already mentioned that the next Monitoring Matters webinar is already coming on August 13th. It will be called Monitor VMware, Hyper-V, Citrix, and more with Paessler PRTG. So if you liked what you saw today and you're also interested in that topic, then please join again. And as said in the beginning, you will get the recording of this webinar via mail soon. And I wish you and the rest of our crew a beautiful summer day wherever you are in Europe or the world. And with that, goodbye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.